Hello, everyone.
Hey everyone,
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Um, yeah, so
we're here together
yeah,
for
we're
this
yeah,
podcast.
forgot to say that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we are here together for today because well, this is we're happen to be in the same location now, so it's nice to record this together, and I don't have my own equipment with me. So we thought it'd be nice to just record this next to each other while looking at you as the audience in the camera in our way of doing this casual conversations next episode. And just to give a little bit of context to start, yeah, we were very confused about the subject today, and we were talking about it a lot, and we thought, what could we bring forward? And so, excuse also the camera, just the quality is a bit low. We're going to improve that over time, but it'll get better. So this is just, but again, that's part of the theme or the topic of today, which is things aren't always what you would like them to be before you take steps that you want to
mm,
take. And I think that's a very important subject that I'm sure many of you will resonate with. And then for me, if I speak about myself, for the most part of my life, I then, or not for the most part of my life, but for the last number of years, I've then just decided not to take any steps because I thought, well, if it's not going to be what I want, and I'm perfectionistic, and it's going to, all this stuff is going to come up that I hate, and there's all this huge, enormous resistance, and there's all these things that I don't
yeah,
have that are perfect, well, then I'm just not going to do it at all. And that is actually, I've discovered, not the right attitude and not the right setting,
mm,
because it will just it'll keep control, and it will have a hold over you, and it won't change unless you master from within with mental power
mhm.
that you don't let those things determine that you want to take a step and that you need to take a step in whatever direction that is, which for us right now is this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of we're just as humans, we're thinking we're not so powerful,
Mm.
and a lot we're thinking too much, and we're like consumed
Yeah.
by the stuff that doesn't work and was visible right here. And um, we're not so in connection with our how much mental power we can have in a way that we can um, uh, yeah, use our mental capacity, our intuition, our focus with your being. You can be here in this, we can be here in this house, and it brings up all this stuff where whatever your daily life looks like, and we're thinking we're not capable of changing anything. And but the change is more begins on energetic level.
Mm-hmm.
um that's where it begins. So you have to like find a way to
An access point.
access your mental power,
Mm-hmm.
so you can energetically begin to like pull things towards you, and um I don't know, in some way, you can demand more with your energy when you focus really hard
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's we're not really, used to.
Yeah.
And I think we're on a path to remembering more that our energetic being is a lot more powerful with how we where we focus on, negative, positive. That um, although it's not the dense reality we're seeing right now, it's not. It's maybe it's the it has the most impact
Yeah.
from how we create a life.
So if we were to, so for today, for this podcast, what we're discussing basically is mental strength and willpower and coming from a deeper place within. Yeah. And so I guess if we were to put this in a slightly less spiritual context, what Marlou was just saying, how could we
Mhm.
do that? So it does. I guess what you just said, if I just take what you said, Marlu,
Mm.
it starts with a point that's more energetic. It's more intangible. It's more invisible. It's more a feeling. It's more a deep sense of knowing or feeling that gives you lightness and openness and joy and energy
Yeah.
as a point of reference to begin from.
Mm-hmm.
And then that may come in as an intuition or a piece of wisdom or a feeling or a knowing. And then from that place, you have to concentrate or focus your strength, your inner strength, your being to kind of shape that into a step that you want to push forward from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's often where a lot of the resistances have control, because they take over those inner feelings, already that part.
Yeah.
And then they also try and sabotage. If you have a strong energy, they tend, and you have a very big potential, let's call it that.
Yeah.
It also tries to take you out of that direction, so that you, and all these inner feelings, and it can literally become like an identity or like a cloud around you that tries to pull you in all kinds of directions.
Yeah, like a noise.
Or in the case, maybe you want to talk about this confusion and
Yeah.
lostness and not knowing and kind of vague and feelings of, I don't want to, like the memories and traumas and all kinds of stuff can come into play to try and hijack the space from the clarity that's underneath,
Yeah.
from where you want to actually do something. And that's very difficult. It's extremely difficult for some people, as it was for me. And I know for you as well, Marlu. And so this is why this topic, I keep saying theme, but this topic is so important for to speak about more. And I know we're never going to cover it in a half an hour, but this is something I wanted to bring in.
And there is a piece that's also very important, and that's also the piece of time. And mental focus and time are very connected. And your power is really now. And when we are in a thinking mode, and I catch myself often, even recording these podcasts, that I'm getting in a thinking mode where I lose, in some sense, the track of time or the track of where I am. And that gets me in a unclarity again, and that gives me the lack of creation, yeah. How to call it? Yeah, there are a lot of topics here that intermingle.
Yeah.
And yeah,
let's keep it simple for now, because I know we can go into deeper topics, and it is interesting. And I hope that for you guys, this is still all very followable, if that's even a word, understandable, because it does get complicated quickly. We're trying to keep this into a casual conversation, which is ironic, because I think we're massively failing at that piece, at least. But to keep it light and a little bit funny even. But I guess if we break things down a bit, we can all often find reasons not to do something, even this podcast as a good example, because we're doing this. But I think that the mental willpower that we all need more of in life is to say, literally, fuck it to some of these things that we think are not going to be good enough, before we actually just show up with what we really feel. But to get there, this is an important piece, I guess, that comes up as well. To get there, you do need to foster and hone and strengthen your inner connection to yourself and your inner voice and knowing. And for me, what you just said, Marlu, is very important, because this piece of being everything is now. You spoke about time. I guess this is a piece that I could say something about, which is the connection with the moment of now. For me, is very important when I take a step, because I know that I'm often, most of my daily life, I'm never feeling ready to do anything. But it's because I have such a strong connection to the moment when I do, that once I do, all of a sudden it's okay, and I'm showing up and everything comes through and it's fine. But every time I'm out of that moment again, and I'm in my daily life and I'm distracted by all kinds of thoughts and all kinds of negativity or whatever comes up, I'm not really in that, I'm not in the now moment doing something that I want to be doing. So nothing shows up. So I think I can't do it. And then I never take a step. And this is a horrible cycle to be in psychologically. If you literally gaslight yourself with thinking that you're not ready, when actually the readiness comes when you take a step, and in my case, when I take a step to actually show up to do something, that's when the readiness shows up. And that's when all of a sudden it works. So it's very tricky, this mind trickery, let's call it that. So that's one of the aspects I wanted to bring to share also here.
I was thinking about the term procrastination. And procrastination is also a piece that can trick you, that you have to get away from procrastinating, because it keeps you like finding the moment in time whenever you're not procrastinating, and then you can begin. And actually it's the other way around for a lot of people that just they need everything they're feeling right now with everything that's not good, and then take a step. Because a lot of you get to learn, you can read a lot of books around stepping into your power and taking action, and why you're not doing this, and 5-second rules and whatever. But there is a piece that you forget. If it's not working, then you're forgetting yourself and the connection with yourself. Because you have to, I don't know, your brain is looking to find a solution, but it's more you are the solution. And the connection to your heart, and bring that forward instead of shifting. You have to shift from your mind more into your heart. And everything that's happening, take that with you, instead of looking for the perfect moment to start. Whenever is that, somebody who can give you permission. Or do you need to give yourself permission?
And what is a perfect moment? Because a perfect moment is defined by perfection, that you don't even know what that is, and it will never happen. So it just won't be a good reference point to begin starting from or waiting for. And this goes into so many topics, again, because I have done so much inner healing work to feel like I would be more ready. And it's all paradoxical, because I've heard in the journeys that I've had with the different people that have instructed me, supported me, helped me, etc. Sometimes this thing about, well, what I just said comes through, like that you'll never be ready, so the time is now. But that's not fully true either, because there is a space in which you sometimes do need to go within and be in a space of being, to drop a lot of layers of, let's call it that, for those of you that understand what I mean, or for those of you that are new, layers meaning a lot of structures that you've built, concepts, belief systems, that you need to sort of begin to separate more from, in order to understand yourself better, in order to be more ready to actually take a step. I believe that's the case too. But there's also a point at which you wait too long and you're already ready and you could have taken a step, and then there's keeps being moments and you don't take them. And then it sort of becomes more difficult. So you get in this trap, and it's also confusing to find the balance there. And that's also difficult for people. And that's also why books and stuff, like you were just saying, Marlou, can sometimes give you reference points, but they give you linear, one-dimensional reference points of reality from one perspective. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case for you specifically. So it's all very difficult and confusing. And this is also why I recommend working with people that you trust, but also working with people that can help you more on a one-on-one basis, that at least know you a bit better and that have wisdom to bring you, or something to share with you that helps you further into this sort of balance point for yourself in whatever way that works for you. I guess that's what I'm saying here. And there's one other thing that I want to bring in. taking a bit slower. I wanted to bring in something vulnerable for me, but what is that? And I had it in mind just now and I forgot. But yeah, I find it difficult to sometimes be in my heart space when I show up in the moment, because I like to show up in the moment when I do, as I do now, from a lot of my knowledge base, intellect, mind, because I have a very strong, dominant, communicative, intellectual mind. And then what happens is, so this is a deeper layer that I'm bringing in, which I find interesting and important to share in the imperfection that this podcast is, because to me, it could go, it doesn't matter. Point is, I find it difficult then in this interaction, even as I'm sharing with you and Marlou here as well, bringing in the space, to actually fully bring myself in through my heart to people in an open way, to an audience that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Showing up, speaking about what I want to be speaking about. This may resonate for some of you as well. And then not knowing what I actually have to offer or to bring, and all the self-worth that comes in and the space, and who knows where anything will go. That's also a difficult balance point that many of you will have, but that I have as well. And it's funny because as I say that, I feel strengthening in my connection to the present moment. I feel my heart more. So this is also the paradox, is speaking it in connection with the present moment when it's true is the key to opening, to bringing that in more, and to progressing and moving forward. And that requires taking that, creating, you know what it requires? It requires taking the step to create the space, which is what this podcast space is right now for us. And for you, with your action step, that will be the space that you create. And within the context of that space, speaking your truth will help open that door further. That's what I have to, I guess, what I can share about that. Which is what I've noticed. And so waiting for that space and not taking a step by not creating it actually keeps the loop, the never-ending cycle of waiting for it, which never happens, in place. And it's very frustrating when you need to when you don't know what to do, and you don't have a life going on, and you don't know what the hell is going on. So yeah, that's the piece that I wanted to share here.
Yeah, very nice. What I feel coming up also is the importance of having an audience. Because when you feel you need mental focus, or you're having an audience makes it much easier in a way. Because we sometimes get stuck in figuring life out on our own.
Yeah.
And you have to think about how things will go, and then you won't get an answer. And when you go step into doing, you get these pieces again with an important piece in mental focus, and what I want to say. a lot of things into mind here. The heart
Take your
space
time.
The heart space is very important, what I feel.
Yeah, but what did you want to say? Because I'm curious now.
There are two pieces.
Okay.
I think two pieces do need to be in order. The heart space needs to be, you have to be in touch with your heart. Because you can have all this mental focus, but
right,
you can be like, there's a lot of pressure on you. You use clarity, or you need to think about it, or you have to have written it down, or whatever. That's at least for my
right
piece very important, because that is more like masculine, all the mind is the masculine side. But
okay.
if I miss my feminine, it just doesn't feel right. And I'm not in my heart, and then any action doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
and those pieces need to come together. That's
Okay.
important.
Yeah, that's a good set of
And
ingredients, I guess. Starting point, very good. Yeah.
yeah, and also what makes it easier is when you're feel the procrastination levels, or let's call it, label it as, and
Mm-hmm.
you do not feel very clear about what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's also very tough. That's also very tough. Yeah, the mental clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, what can I say here? I guess what I want to say at this point is so this is a good example of an in the moment podcast that we're creating where we're just building the bridge as we go. And we're speaking the truths that come up through in the moment without planning anything.
Mhm.
And that's part of taking action because you don't know how things go. You can't make things perfect. And if you wait for it, doesn't work, like we said. So that's one aspect of this. I guess it's also, and this is what I'd like to be as well, for those of you paying attention to this, watching this now, is that we bring through an embodiment of an example of people that are just ordinary people, but that have been on a journey and that are bringing ourselves forward in the moment in an imperfect way. And that example will hopefully help you also do that in a way that's easier for yourself. Almost like it, Morley was speaking about permission. It's almost like we are bringing the permission to you by being the example of bringing the permission to ourselves to do this. And that's how subtle all of the points that we bring in terms of healing come through in a podcast like this. So this is just not just what I'm trying to say is not just an intellectual conversation. It's also the embodiment of what we're bringing, which is the very example of what we would like you to receive as well. And that's, if you can live like that every day, which I do in every moment of every day, you become a living, walking example of the very thing that you stand for, that you want to believe, that you're working towards, that you're going within to. And that is, to me, one of the greatest aspects of mastery, of being an awakened person in this life. Because many people can speak about things, but if you can't be the example of what you're speaking about, then is it really where you are, or is it just the talk? And so that's not to be negative, but it's just to be a little bit pointy and exact in the masculine, like Marlu would say, to name that I think you should be the example that you say that you are, if you want to be that example. And I think we need more people like that as well. Because if we all were examples for each other, we would all uplift each other. And that's, to me, one of the most beautiful aspects of life, if that was really how things worked right now.
And
and
that brings it back to the first piece we spoke about. How do you get there while the evidence is not there?
Exactly. Good point.
And how do you get in a state with yourself where you can allow all your imperfections in a way to be there, and you might even think those are all your imperfections, but I think there are a lot of people, they don't even see it like that. Because for you, you might be very focused on, oh, these pieces are all the things that are not yet ready to be brought out, or to be seen, or to be, all this pressure of also social media and how perfect life needs to be. That is nowadays very heavy for a lot of people, that plays a very big role. And if we can all embrace our imperfections more, and bring out yourself from that heart connection, and spend more but be more in the mode of whatever you want to bring. You know, is it from your essence? And why?
Well, I think
why can you not bring it forth?
I think what people are craving.
It's vulnerable to show yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the procrastination piece comes up, and then the piece comes up from how can you believe with your mind, the mental focus, bring yourself, you know, or bring in more lights, or like the confidence, or in a way, you know.
Well, I think what I wanted to say about that is I think what people are craving, and what in general the world today is examples and models and imprints, but also leaders in a new way. And that's not really new. People say that and stuff, but what it means to me is that examples of what Marlou was just describing, which is a vulnerable, open, authentic being that's showing up in an imperfect way, but having something to offer that they stand for. Because that's the very course correction of what we're seeing today going wrong, off track with life, which is people lose the fabric. Society today is losing the fabric of what it means to be an honest, authentic, and truthful being that has something to share that isn't, for the lack of a better word, bullshit that goes into manipulation, deception, deceptive marketing, goes into things that we don't even care about, things that we don't need in the world, destructive, abusive, negative, whatever it is, it's not contributing to a higher state of integration of being.
Right.
And think about movies. For me, movies play a big role.
The higher connection between humans.
I like movies, where an actor becomes the representation of a higher power that they live out, that they need to, that they have a storyline that follows that very strongly. Because it shows to me something that has meaning beyond the physical context of the movie set and the players and the shooting and the action or whatever it is that the movie's about. But it has a higher purpose, right? And that's what we all actually seek, is we seek a higher level of meaning that comes into our daily life. And we need to create settings in order to allow that to come through, which for a long time I've had great difficulty with. Make no mistake, I've had really big difficulty with that. And it isn't as simple as saying, well, I want to become that in my daily life and then it's all fine. You also need to find ways in which you can get, like we were talking about, which you can express that through a channel, express yourself that way in an authentic and open way. But I think that's what people crave, and that's what this world craves and needs. And I guess what comes up to say is I consider myself someone on the path of becoming more and more of an example, which I don't even know exactly what example that is, to be honest, but that's an in the moment discovery. And I don't know if I can pin that down specifically right now, like into something very specific. And I don't know if you can for yourself, Marlou, but maybe you could give, maybe you could tell me what you think I am as an example. Maybe I could say what I think you are as an example, as a little exercise for people to make it. That could be a good exercise if you want to, in the moment.
For you.
What example am I, Marlou?
For you, it is becoming.
I hope it's something good.
Becoming the best version of you, and I think this is not only for your case, but it's also my case. Become a more light-hearted person in a way that's
closer to my heart,
closer to your heart, and that you feel it, that you like experience it, like when you show up, you get an imprint of the light being you are, and to experience that and then grow in that, and then it will like ripple out, or will leak through to whoever is like watching, you
Or
know,
on the path,
and
in that path.
yeah, and that awakens this, that gives permission in a sense for, I guess,
Those
a
of you
lot of
listening.
people
Yeah.
who like haven't been seeing themselves in such a way, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
And everyone is like, if you can be in that space for yourself and embody that and like become a more really authentic, you know. That's also a lot of, you have to be yeah, just express yourself from an authentic way, and that's sometimes very hard to grasp because it's not something you can think about, you know. And it just, you know, if you can look around and people will pick that up. You can be like, yeah, you know.
Was that all, or so
and
thank
this
you.
is also for me,
I want to share
because
for you.
I can realize, no, I realized today, because sometimes it's, you know, it's very hard to have a lot of compassion for yourself, and it's easier to have it for others. But if you're not really in touch with a lot of people, then you know, you don't feel a lot of I don't know. I feel my heart opens more easier when I'm with people than I'm long time alone, and then I like the compassion like sinks in, and then I don't want to show up or whatever, you know.
You lose that staying power to hold
Yeah,
on to the goodness of the vibrations, the good vibrations.
the things that are wrong about you, whatever. Those voices seem louder, you know, and then you take yourself too serious, and then you think you lack in mental power to get over it, and then
it becomes a cycle,
and then
really takes you down.
procrastinating and stuff, and that's like, but I don't know, that there's a lot of this, just how humans work, you know.
No, I agree. Yeah, very good
It's
points.
not easy, you know. It's like,
so so now I want to speak a little bit about what I think you can be, or what was the word that we used? What was the, I forgot.
How you express what you think, what is it,
Is that where you're going, what you're showing up as an example of?
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to make sure I beat what you said about me, of course. No, but I think that, so I like what you said, and bring it all together now. I would say off the cuff, in the moment, what I feel now is that what you are more and more stepping into, bringing through who you are, is the vulnerability and the serenity and the beauty of being a very honest and open woman that has a very kind-hearted depth, that very loving depth that you've learned to excavate in your path, that helps and really radiates out that love to others. And I think also other women, as an example of how they can love themselves more, you as the audience also listening, maybe, and you bring that through more and more. And I think that's what, in a sort of abstract sense, is at least the ingredients that you bring through in your creative essence, usually through paintings that I know you do, and through what you speak about, and how you help me in the moments that I go into a moment of a hole of emptiness and despair, and I don't know how to take myself out in the moment, and you take me out through that loving feminine essence. And I think that's a very key core aspect of what you are moving into more and more as you show up and express yourself more, and help other women and people give that permission to also be that. So that's what maybe that's the same description of being your highest best self, but that's my version of saying it, let's say, in this moment.
Yeah.
So
yeah, very beautiful said, because that is
what you feel?
um that are, I don't know, it's bringing out more the vulnerable side of me that always felt like very like not able to be there, or like very easy to judge, you know. It's like it's hard to grasp uh, our own essence, for you know, is what we bring through without doing anything, without having to like uh, show up, or having to like have achieved, you know. It's the peace around whenever you're, yeah, I don't know, authentic, very authentic. And that's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. 1 second.
Okay.
Um, yeah, beautifully said. And I think there was something I was going to mention here. Yeah, notice for the audience listening to this, notice, how you relate to us speaking about each other in this way and what we're bringing out, but also how much in the moment that Marlou shared about me and I shared about her, the energy opened up of the space in this moment, because it gets the essence of who we are gets seen by bringing ourselves out to you. Again, one of those examples, and this is how
It's really
you have to, if you want to have an awakened level of mastery, you need to be able to relate. And for some people, this may be like a whole new world to relate to, but you need to relate to the present moment by observing what actually happens when you give yourself that center stage in the present moment to bring yourself out with whatever authentically you're speaking. And that is how you become that embodiment that Marlou said about me, mastering the energy of opening up the room, lighting up the space, bringing in other people into the same permission, giving them, giving those of you also that energy. It's what I like. And God, for so long, I've actually been suppressing that, in the sense that I didn't know, like Marlou was just sharing, or I shared about her as well. It's like how much I've closed myself off from showing up because I thought I had nothing to bring, or I don't know what I could do, because what could I bring out if I wasn't able to make my own life perfect in the way that I wanted to? How could I possibly tell others how they should be living their life? And again, that became a block to show up with whatever I had to say. And so, yeah, these are some of the examples as we're sort of, I'm not sure if we're closing in on the end of the podcast, but I don't see like there is a timer here that we have.
normally we have a timer.
We have a timer, but the point is that that these are some of the things that I wanted to speak about today with you, Marlou, because they're very important as a topic. I'm wondering what else we have to share there.
I hope
Actually,
it will bring some
1 second. We are going to end in 2 minutes, because I know what's going on here. Yeah, so we are going to be ending in 2 or 3 minutes, because I've had a different setting. So and I want to keep these podcasts roughly equal level, and we don't want to continue too long on one topic. So let's round it off maybe with some of the finalizing ending comments that we usually have, to see what we can share this podcast. And then next time we'll just continue with wherever we come up with next. Is there anything you want to add to this, Marlou?
I want to add to this the piece of whenever you don't feel the mental clarity, don't use your mental state, but sink into your body and connect to your heart and feel into what resonates in the moment, and take that to do anything.
Yeah.
And bridge that gap, for you.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I have anything to add. Let me see. Well, there was something that came up, and that is what I just said about ending the podcast a little bit on my own time rather than what we set as the timer, that's important because part of, I mean, maybe this is like a helpful tip, but this comes through to share, is for me, it's been very important to discipline myself to create um, boundaries and box things into how do you say that, cordon off and create spaces, but also confine them and not control them, but to manage the flow of time within those spaces and to have beginnings and endings, bookends, as they say, so that you create a space within which you bring what you need to bring and then you stop. And it's the same with taking steps. You create a space or a time within you want to do something, and then you say, well, this is going to be the ending to that. Because if you don't do that, it also becomes very tempting to be so open and so endless, and expectations can come in, and then all this stuff can just come in, and you're not really creating a little bit of a pressured incubation chamber to push through what you want to bring through in the moment. That's an example of something that I can really bring as a tip, if that makes sense. That helps.
That's great.
And that's a very masculine ability, as well, to do that.
Because when you're talking about that, I can feel this bubble.
And it creates safety as well. The clarity of the bubble creates safety.
Yeah, it creates a bubble where in this time it's very clear what you're doing. Yeah. And then you can like let the world do its thing and really be with yourself in that space and focus in that bubble and what comes up and what is present in that bubble that wants to like be expressed. Exactly. And that's let's say the bubble is the masculine creation and the expression of it is the feminine creation. And they need to kind of work together, which is actually a very good example of how we work together. So that's a beautiful ending. I like that. Next time we'll pick another topic, but I hope you found this interesting and this ongoing series of casual conversations. And until next time. Yeah, until next time. Bye-bye. Bye.